Last year, the number of school shootings and people killed or hurt during those incidents hit a record high with 132. That's according to the Gun Violence Archive, which is a nonprofit formed in 2013 to track gun violence in the U.S. The most recent at Michigan State University, where 4 people were killed and 5 others were hurt, and the deadliest in a decade at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas, leaving 22 people dead and 17 injured. Joining me now is psychiatrist Dr. Christina Lynn. Thank you so much for being here. It's terrifying to see these stories, absolutely horrifying. How are these events affecting our kids?
It's having a pretty negative effect on our kids. Some of them are scared to go to school. It's having them withdraw, and they're asking questions that we've never had to answer before. Mom, what do I do if somebody comes in with a gun? Or can I have a phone so I can call you if somebody comes in and I can't get out of the school? And these are questions we've never had to deal with before, and it's impacting everybody, not just the people that were involved in the shooting or in the incident or the community. It's affecting all the way across. It's changed our school drills. We're now having active shooter drills, and these children have never had to do that.
And as parents, we've never had to answer the questions either.
No.
What do we say?
We give the facts. I mean, that's the biggest thing, and that's what we always try to tell everybody is give them the facts and limit them the access of seeing it over and over, because unfortunately, because of media, we see it over and over. And in certain age brackets, they see it as it's something happening every time you play it. The older kids, they understand that it's a one-time event, but younger kids shouldn't be watching this stuff. And then we have to be careful we don't stereotype the individual that was the violent individual. Oftentimes they get stereotyped, and then we find kids are scared of a certain person, and it's like, Mom, I saw this person. It's okay, it's just a person. And so we have to be careful to keep our judgment and our thoughts and things like that away from them, because they are very concrete thinkers, and just because it was somebody in this age bracket doesn't mean that everybody in this age bracket is going to do that. And we need to have a plan. And so if your child is showing anxiety, have a plan with them. You know, what do you do? Talk to them about it. What's your fear? And how can you help calm that fear?
And so then is there a way to mitigate the negative effects?
There's always going to be a negative effect in this. I mean, you can't not have a negative effect. Again, open communication is the best and the most important. If you're noticing signs that your child is resistant to going to school, talk with their counselors. Have the counselors talk with them. Have them show them where a safe place to go. Have them show them where a phone is that they can call. Make sure that they identify the security officers to the child. Show them everything that increases safety. Younger children, go back to letting them have that transitional object in their backpack so that they feel safe, so that if they get locked in, they've got their backpack and their snuggly so that they're a little bit safer. This is for the younger elementary kids that we're now having to do this for. You know, the older kids will have their cell phones. They'll be able to connect and contact to the outside world, and so that helps them because they feel secure with that, being able to do that. But again, it's just reminding them, and with my son who is in first grade, he had an active shooter drill, and it took me by surprise he was having one. And I said, well, it's the same thing as a hurricane drill or a tornado drill, so normalize it. It's just something we practice. I mean, we're all used to all of those, so we've got to normalize it. My older son said, you know, we've had so many of them, I'm almost desensitized to it. It's like, yes, another day. And so we have to catch that balance and make sure that we're aware and we're prepared, but that we're not scaring the younger ones and making the older ones think that, oh, well, whatever, that's not going to happen to us.
And talking about that, a recent CDC survey showed 1 in 10 high school students did not want to go to school in the past 30 days because they didn't feel safe. Mm-hmm. That is heartbreaking. How can we help them? I mean, you mentioned explaining, but how do we remind them that that is a safe place?
A lot of schools have done a lot of really great measures, having one entry point, sign in, sign out, security resource officers, clear bags, all of those things. And what you do is you remind your child of those things and of people that they can go to if they don't feel safe. Who is the first person you go to? And walk them through it. Give them a checklist. If I don't feel safe and I'm in class 1, who's the closest person for me to get to? And walk them through that. Give them that.
And this next part, this gets me. So 6 of the 9 deadliest mass shootings in the U.S. since 2018 were by people aged 21 and younger. Mm-hmm. Can you speculate why that is?
Pure speculation. access, impulse control. We know brain development continues on into your early 20s, and so younger you are, the less likely you're to think of the consequences. Video games of violence, we have shown over and over again, those desensitize an individual to what a gun does, because they see it in a video game and the character gets up. It's no big deal. We see it on TV, they move on and they're in the next episode. And so we've desensitized our culture to what really happens when you fire a gun. And so we also don't teach gun safety anymore because everybody's so afraid of guns. If you're gonna have a gun, you need to be teaching gun safety. You need to be practicing safety. You know, I'm not condoning having one or not having one, but if you do have one, and the reason people under 21, because you can't buy one until you're 18, so the fact that they have them means their family had them. So they didn't have them secured, they didn't have them put up, they didn't teach the proper methods. And that's a speculation because some of them may have done all of those things and they still had this happen.
And like you said, they're getting exposed to it at a younger age. I mean,
Yes.
I see it, my son's 4, I see it in TV shows and movies. And he's even, you know, he's seen things that I thought, well, I don't even know what to say about this, because it's commonplace. So are there things that we should be telling even our younger children as far as safety or violence is concerned?
Again, if you are by chance watching something and there is violence, talk to your child about, but that's make-believe. That's not real. And tell them what make-believe is. If you see it, censor it. Get them away from it. Don't let them watch it. And again, the more a child sees something, the more they're just going to consider it normal. And we don't want that to be normal. We've played cops and robbers all of our lives, cowboys and Indians and things like that. We've pretended with guns and sticks. We ran around and did that. They weren't real guns. Now we're playing video games that are very visually accurate to what happens when you use a gun. And so that's very desensitizing.
Speaking of that, and kind of on the flip side of what we've been talking about, when we think of the shooters in these cases, we think of Dylan Roof, Salvador Ramos from Uvalde, even the 6-year-old in Newport News, Virginia. Family and friends had mentioned that maybe there were signs of sorts, and so are there signs that we need to look for? Can we see them?
So we've looked and we've said, you know, there has to be a pattern. And it's very easy to look back and say, yes, oh, there was a sign here. But sometimes these kids are your athletes, your good students, and somebody that you would never expect all of a sudden. You know, there may be some underlying depression, there may not be. Again, there's a whole lot of impulse control issues, especially in the younger shooters, because they get a thought, they act on it. And then that's the thing. So yes, again, as I've said previously, talking to your child, getting to know your child, the more you know your child and their behaviors, the more you'll be able to know that they're deviating from it. But what I don't want people to do is to say, I saw that and I didn't stop it, because I don't think that that's possible at this point. I don't think we have a characteristic that we need to look for at this point. Again, that's stereotyping. And if we add that in to what we're doing, then we're going to scare our kids even more, because they're going to look at this teenager, oh, this teenager has long brown hair. They might, you know, whatever it may be that happened to be the most recent incident. So again, trying to identify what is it in these individuals that causes that, we don't know.
It's too hard.
Don't know.
So there isn't anything that, you know, if you feel like they are not themselves or having impulse control, I mean, is it something as a parent we should address?
Absolutely, absolutely. You should address that even without having this as an issue. That should be addressed because you've noticed a change in your child's behavior. And if you've noticed that change in your child's behavior, something is going on. Children are very, very transparent if you know them. They don't know how to hide a lot because they haven't quite figured out their own emotions to be able to hide it. So if you're watching and you're paying attention and you see a shift, you need to address then. You know, not wait and go, oh, well, it's just his age. Not necessarily. Just check in with them, talk to them, take them off by themselves.
I guess we won't really find out the effects for years to come, but
No.
is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just, again, my biggest thing with everybody is the sooner you begin talking to your children and opening those doors of communication about the hard subjects, the younger kids, talk to them in an age appropriate. And you don't have to wait for an incident to happen. Talk about gun safety early. Talk about how to take care of yourself. Talk about what to do in these type of cases, because it could happen at school, it could happen at the mall, it could happen at the, just being aware of your surroundings. But the more we teach our children and the more we model that behavior, the better we will be in a society.
Excellent advice. Thank you so much, Dr. Christina Lynn. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.